everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Universe Within podcast. I hope this finds you all well. On this episode of the show, I sat down with a good friend of mine. His name is Bruno Momeni. He's a martial arts practitioner. He's done Muay Thai, he does Jiujitsu, Luta Livre, and he's actually one of my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu teachers, as well as Luta Livre. I'm also very honored because he gave me my brown belt, which I believe was also his brown belt. Bruno's a really great guy. We've known each other for a few years, and I think sitting down and talking to him was a long time in the making. So I was really happy to have him come on and sharing his time and his knowledge and his wisdom. We talked about martial arts, some of the different martial arts, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Luta Livre. I think also we talked about Muay Thai, a bit of Aikido, Judo. We talked about a lot of stuff and a bit of the history, especially of Jiu-Jitsu and Luta Libre, and some of the uses, the benefits, the drawbacks, and then also, I think, just in general, how martial arts applies to life in a broader spectrum. So I hope you all enjoy this. If you're interested in martial arts, or if you're interested in learning more about martial arts, or really just philosophy and life in general, I think and hope you all will like this conversation. So I think that's it. As always, if you're able to support this podcast, that's a really big help to me. Patreon is a really good option. It's a website. You can sign up for as little as $1 a month. There's different tiers you can sign up for. Those tiers give you different things back, things like early access to shows, bonus material, Q&As. To all of the patrons, to all of the supporters on Patreon, thank you very much for your support. As always, I deeply appreciate it. And if you're able to do that, thank you in advance. That's what really what allows me to continue to make and produce and edit and bring on all of these guests. So thank you very much. There's also the ability to donate via PayPal, and I'll put a link to both in those in the show notes. If you're not able to do that, helping with the algorithms really makes a big difference in getting the show out to a bigger audience. So if you're viewing the video version on this on YouTube, subscribing to the show, turning on the notification bell, liking the video, leaving any questions or comments in the comment section, all of those things really help. Also with the video version, I'm beginning to upload it to Spotify now, so that's also an option, as well as Rumble, which is, I think, a really good alternative platform to YouTube. As some of you might know, one of my episodes was censored on YouTube, so it's also it's good as having a service like Rumble, at least as a backup, and maybe eventually as a primary platform as well. And then if you're listening to this on the audio versions, Apple Podcasts is still the biggest version, so subscribing or following to the show, leaving a starred rating and a short review, all of those things really help. And I think that should be it. So without further ado, here is my conversation with Bruno.
From the maze, running out from the maze, running out of the maze today. Running out from the maze, running out from the maze, running out from the maze today. I'm running out from the maze, running out from the maze, run out of the maze today.
Bienvenido.
Gracias, Jason. How are you doing?
Good. I was trying to think before we started when I met you, and I can't remember actually.
We went to Stefano's place. You were just sparring there doing jiu-jitsu.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So it was when Stefano had it.
Stefano said like, "Hey, do you want to spar?" And you were there, and then I just started teaching. Like the next class, you just came.
So Stefano was having jiu-jitsu in his house, and you were going there?
Yeah, just sparring.
Yeah.
So I went there, and I think we spar. I get off of all your triangles, and you were like, "Oh," and then like the next week I was teaching there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So So yeah, you do jiu-jitsu. That's how we met, was through Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You were just saying, you also do Luta Livre, which I think probably a lot of people
Don't know
I
about
think a
it
lot of
much.
people know about jiu-jitsu now,
Yeah.
but I think a lot of people don't know about Luta Livre. But maybe just to start, introduce
explain
yourself,
my-
who you
my
are,
teacher.
your background.
Yeah,
and-
I'm Bruno Momeni. I started training at 15, Muay Thai. Then at 19, I started doing just Jiu-Jitsu because I got to work and I used to fight a lot, and I would go just with a lot of bruises to work.
and this
or
was
cuts.
in Lima.
In Lima, yeah, like knee cuts or elbows in the face. So I was a flight attendant, and I would go a little bit bleeding with the eye, and passengers will just mess around like, "Hey, you served the wrong drink." Somebody hit you because they're like, no, blah, blah, blah. They would make like funny jokes. It was fun. My boss said like, "Hey, Bruno, you need to stop." So I started doing jiu-jitsu. And then
How old were you when you became a flight attendant?
19.
Wow.
I quit university for that. I was like, university not for me. I want to travel the world. I want to save some money. And in Peru, you don't have that much opportunities. You need to have to Google, like, what can I do to quit university and travel the world? Like, one was cruises, but in Peru they don't pay that well. And the other one that is well paid is aviation, because they pay you almost as if you are American, even you are in South America. So it was a good change.
So the salaries are pretty standard, no matter where you are.
Yeah, they pay you. Yeah, it's almost standard. I can weigh almost as flying in the States. But for Lima, it's a good salary. So being 19, doing that, I was like taking care of my job. So when they told me you can't do Muay Thai anymore, I was like, oh. I was doing MMA too, like Valentina Shevchenko. She was in my gym when she moved here to Lima, and I would spar her a lot. So we will end up like a lot of cuts. She likes elbows. So I was
And
like,
what drew you to Muay Thai?
when I always like martial arts. I was born with I had a single mom. So I always got into the gym. In Peru, there's very patriarchal. Like, you can say, like, since you're a kid and they see you have a single mom, they will tell you, hey, you're going to be the man in the house. If something happens, you'll be the one that fights. So since I started doing like capoeira, karate, taekwondo since I'm little. And then I got into the first UFC fight, and I saw it, and I really was like, hey, what is this? So I started searching for MMA in Lima, but I couldn't find it. But there was a pretty good team in Muay Thai, so I was like, okay, I will try Muay Thai. And I liked it, because you had the sparrings. In all other martial arts, you don't spar that much. And sparring is the one that makes you realize how good you are. So when you think that you're good and somebody beats you, you know you have a long time to train. And that's why I like it, that you can measure. Sparring is a type of measure. So it's a measurable thing, the martial art. So that's the fun part. And so I go to Muay Thai, men in the house. I met my dad when I was 18. My dad is a big dude, like 200 pounds, big, tall, strong, judo black belt. And I went to the state to meet him and said like, hey, I'm your son, how are you doing? But he didn't have a clue. But I knew that he was strong and big. And I didn't know if we were going to get in a fight. So I have been preparing my 3 years training just to meet him. I was in shape, just to say, how are you doing? And maybe it was like, hey, who are you? I don't give a, who are you, blah, blah. And we ended fighting. I don't know why. I was a kid and I was thinking, I'm going to fight my dad when I turn 18. So protective. So I got really into martial arts. My mom didn't like Muay Thai itself because it was violent. So she said like, I'm not going to pay Muay Thai. I was 15, so I started quitting school. Like, there were a few days that I wouldn't go to get side jobs. And with those side jobs, I would pay my rent. And also I would save for football, like till the night. So I would have to go running to the academy. That was like every day, like I would say like in kilometers, like 10 kilometers. In miles would be like 8 miles every day running to get there. No food. I would go there, train 5 to 7, 5 to 8. I would arrive home and have lunch at almost 9 p.m. every day. So I was, and I didn't want to be a pro fighter. I just wanted to learn how to fight. That was the cool part. So that's how I started. And then I had a need to fight, you know, that the anger inside you. So I couldn't shift Muay Thai for basketball. I needed still fighting. So that's how I moved to Jiu-Jitsu. And I used to train a lot. And compete a lot.
So with the airline, they basically told you if you want to keep your job, you have to...
Yeah. But then I start having cauliflower ears. That's why I don't have any. Because when they said like, hey Bruno, now you have a cauliflower ear, I was like, okay, this one has a remedy, don't worry, I can take it out. So I would take my injections and start like blood draining every day, and that's why I have normal ears besides all the training.
You think they didn't like cauliflower ear just because of the aesthetics, or they knew it was because of fighting?
Yeah, they were like really, like, I always have a theory that, like, if you're in a third world country, they always want to say like, oh, we're not third world, we're like world class level. So they put a lot of stuff that are unnecessary. Like,
I don't know. I mean, I used to work in bars and restaurants, and I mean, it's changed now. Now you can kind of look different, but when I started, you had to be clean cut. I got fired from one job because my hair was too long.
Like, yeah, but
like
here
clean
the thing is
shaven.
about like military. Like the girls could only use some type of colors for the nails.
Yeah.
The good part is that in aviation, 80% of flight attendants are gay. So funny part is that every time I would get hit and I had a purple eye, everybody had the makeup. So we're like, oh Bruno, like no worries, we'll fix it. So we like there, and people would just make up, and now we look normal. They were really good at the makeup, better than the woman. But it was the fun part.
Did you ever train in the locations you would fly to, or you just always come back to Lima?
I used to train a lot. In San Salvador, there's this military space of the States. The States has a military base in San Salvador, and I had some friends that were captains, war captains, like for like military planes, and they would all do jiu-jitsu. They were like blue belts, purple belts. So we would write like, hey, I have a flight on the weekend to San Salvador. And we're like, oh, I also have a flight. So we will go to the helicopter place. The hotel had a place where we stay to land the helicopter. And we'll use that as a ring, a circle. And we'll train there I would train with all of them. So it was a funny part too.
And these were military guys?
Military guys, yeah. They were like super nice. Super nice. I remember it was funny because they were come in buses. So once by talking, this dude that do jiu-jitsu, we were training, and this bus just land, and there were like 20 of them, and they saw us fighting. They came like, hey, you're training, we want to train too, and we were like a whole team. It was really nice.
In Peru, does the military train martial arts?
I have trained a few. I have trained the police, and no.
But it's not obligatory, or
it's not obligatory. There are some nice judo black belts, and I think karate is also in the police. But yeah, they don't focus on training itself. Peru is not that bad in military because we had a lot of terrorism. They're really good at weapons, but in close combat, knife, they are fine. They are not that good. But itself, because of all the problems that there were in the 90s, all the terrorism, there are these badass dudes that you find that were special forces that they're like they're legit.
And the war with Ecuador also, right?
Yeah, but I think terrorism was worst.
Because some of the people who I worked with, also as you were saying, it's this interesting mentality where a lot of the older guys, the middle-aged or older
They're
guys,
badass.
they also have very short-cut hair, like military-style
Yeah.
hair. But yeah, a lot of them served in the military. A lot of
Yeah.
them fought.
And you see that they were good, but just by looking at them, if right now they're in almost 60s and they have a big belly, you see the forearm, like with cuts, but the fingers, strong fingers. You see that these dudes used to train, not like right now. Right now, you don't find that. They were, yeah.
So what do you think martial arts is? Like, I'm sure a lot of people have heard of jiu-jitsu, of Muay Thai, of karate, but how would you explain what martial arts are? Like the history, the roots, the differences?
It's hard to explain because I don't see martial arts as people see it. I see it as a relief. When I have a problem, I can fight. And not necessarily a fighting problem, just like a problem in your house. You have something that is bothering you. You just go fight, give your best. You just can have a good night of sleep. And I like Jiu-Jitsu because you can go 100% each fight. In Muay Thai, you can go 100% with one fighter. But then he's done or you're done. And you can keep fighting. So if you have an anger there and you can take it out, you can't because your body can't resist more fighting. But in Jiu-Jitsu, you can stay 8 hours in the gym, spar 4 hours, mess around. But you know that if you really want to take all the things that you have inside, you just let it go by fighting 100% with people that want to fight 100%. And at the end, it's going to be your friend. There's not going to be nothing wrong with him because you didn't break nothing. You can tap. So that's a cool part. And it's a nice therapy because a lot of my friends are like me. We just like to fight and go there and go 100%. We know with whom you can go like that, but always respecting that I'm not going to break something, but I can use all my strength. That's something I really like about Jiu-Jitsu. I don't think any other sport has it. That's
So how would you describe jiu-jitsu?
it's just a relief for me. No, like it's not
But
like
how would you describe jiu-jitsu like as a martial art to someone who doesn't really know what that is? Because I get that question a lot. Like, what is jiu-jitsu? People think like, oh, you're moving energy.
no.
Or
They always say Jiu-Jitsu is a light martial art. They start explaining like Aikido, the movement that goes, that flows. Jiu-Jitsu it's a lot of things. It can be that too, but it can't just only be that. It have a lot of strength. If you have a strength and movement, you can break because you can use your momentum, your body. You have to know yourself very well to do this sport. To be good in this sport, you have to know yourself. You have to know your body. You have to know your composition. If you have a big belly, you have to know how to use it. If you have short arms, you have to learn how to choke with short arms, long arms also. Big legs, you have to be careful also because you can always get into a leg lock. It's difficult to escape. So Jiu-Jitsu itself is very particular. It's not like in karate. They will teach you how to throw a punch, and everybody has to throw the punch like that. In Jiu-Jitsu, each body is so different that the technique you have to move it. Like I can teach the same for a short guy than to a tall guy. There's always these little things that you have to change. So Jiu-Jitsu itself, it's a martial arts that breaks bones. That's how I see it. You can neutralize people, but neutralizing is grappling. If you're breaking, that's Jiu-Jitsu. That's how I see it.
And then you spent time in Brazil, in the States.
Yeah, in
also.
Brazil, in the States, in San Diego. My cousin lived there, so he was a brown belt. He was a purple belt. Like he started training maybe in the 90s. He was from purebred. It was the first MMA one of the first MMA schools in the States. I think it was from Hawaii with Enzo Inouen. I think I'm saying it correctly. But it was one of the first dude that trained in the States. So when I went there, he would know everybody. I was training with Barrett Yoshida, with Clark Gracie. They have different games. One, Barrett has a really no-gi game, Clark has a really gi game, so I would train with both. Barrett is the nicest guy you can find. It was funny because I used to train, put stuff in my eyes so I couldn't see when I was a blue belt because I wanted to feel people, and he as a black belt didn't have eyebrows because he would tape his head, no hair, and he would stay like that the whole day. He would go at 8 a.m. with his class like this, and then he would leave his class at 9 and then unwrap it. So he would stay all day, without seeing, just sparring. So now I thought it was pretty cool to do that. So I started training like that too in a moment. And it was fun.
And when people talk about jiu-jitsu, they're talking about Brazilian jiu-jitsu. How does that differ from
Because
Japanese jiu-jitsu?
Jiu-jitsu is a Japanese jiu-jitsu that it has strikes, and samurais used to use it to neutralize. It was like a judo, but they specialize in killing. That's why when this guy Helio Gracie learned it from this dude. So jiu-jitsu was originated by this dude called Maeda. His last name was Maeda, I don't remember his name, but Maeda was a killer. So he killed a big dude in Japan. So Brazil has the most Japaneses besides Japan in the world. It has like a big community. So the Japanese government wanted to kill this minister, so they hired the best killer they could find. That was Maeda. Maeda killed this minister, and the minister said like, okay, you just killed this dude, we are going to hide you. So they sent it to Brazil, where the Gracies found them because Helio's father was like a big also minister in Brazil. He knew what was going on. So like, oh, this dude is boring, he just came. Maybe you can make him teach something to your kids because he's a badass. And then he started teaching these Helio's older brothers. Helio was thin and he would look at the class and he was like, oh, maybe like what I was saying, that, oh, this works for him because he's strong, but I'm thin. How can I make this possible for me? So he created his own martial art that is called Jiu-Jitsu. That is a martial art that works for you. Each one has a different Jiu-Jitsu. And that's why it's called like that. And it's different by the other one that is like, if you do this, it will work. Well, yes, but I'm super weak, so from part 1 to 3, in the number 2 I have a problem. Oh no, it won't be able to work. And then Helio said like, okay, maybe if I go like this, I will make it work. That's how Jiu-Jitsu is created. Now Luta Livre, that is the other side. My teacher was Roberto Leitao. He was Helio's friend. He was Olympic in wrestling and judo. He was a 5th degree, I think, in judo. And he started saying, oh, these new locks you can find, these new submissions. So Helio, like he was from high class, he started teaching high class people. And Leitao, that was low class, he started teaching like in favelas, in other places. So he would train no-gi. That was the first fighting no-gi. The fighters in that moment were Roberto Leitao ones, and the other ones that would use the gi were the Gracie ones.
Do you think that the no-gi was just a matter of money?
It was money. It was resources. They couldn't afford, or they couldn't have gi. So they started, and like Roberto came from, even he came from judo, like they used the judogi. He came from wrestling too, so he started doing like American Jiu-Jitsu, that is called right now, but in Brazil. So before that, before American Jiu-Jitsu, before no-gi, it was Luta Livre. and he was really good. Like my teacher Roberto was Marco Rua's teacher that he fought in the UFC, and he was being the corners. And Jose Aldo would sleep in the gym, and the first black belt Jose Aldo received was from my teacher. So it has like a nice history, but I can go to a favela in Rio de Janeiro and train with no problem because I came from that line. But I can also go to a crazy one because I used to train with Clark. So it's a nice opening to have everything. You always have to learn from everybody something that can offer something to teach. That's why I think about Jiu-Jitsu.
How would you describe some of those differences? I mean, you kind of gave a few examples, but like, for example, what would be the benefit and the drawback of being like a small woman? And what would be the benefit and drawback of being like a big...
So imagine, I'm a small woman. I'm fighting these two that have a strong grip. It's difficult to fight a grip. From every action there's a reaction. So just by pulling something, you know that other people will pull back. So I will have to use not only his strength but also my full body and see what muscles he's using. It's a little bit more complicated. It's like, imagine how much shoulder press can you do? I would say like 10 kilos, 15 kilos. And if I'm a small woman that weighs 40 kilos, I know that your shoulder won't be able to fight me. Let's say how much biceps you can curl. Maybe 25 kilos, I'm 40 kilos, you can't beat me in weight. So that's when you start thinking how much your grip strength. Normal human being in males is like 45 kilos in grip. If you're a strong dude, you might have like 70 plus, no? I'm just saying an average. But so you start thinking all of that weights that you can lift and how much my weight is. So I might have a problem, these dudes start like grabbing me. If I just fall to the ground, just like lay down and put all my weight in one arm, I know that he won't be able to still grab me because he can't find my whole body. Because he can't lift that amount of weight. So you have to play with that. It's complicated. It's not that easy. I can see girls training for 5 years, and this big dude will come and they will beat them just because of weight. But there's one moment that after they have it more difficult than men, but once they have it, they will beat a lot of people just because they will be faster, they will know how to control the weight, and they will know how much you can lift, how much you can move, how much you can... It's a lot of biomechanics. And if you're a strong dude, normally strong dudes are slow. So I just have to use your strength plus my velocity. It's a lot of just by seeing your fingers, seeing your hands, seeing your shoulders, I can just like know who I'm fighting. And each fight is different because each composition is different. And you just have to have a lot of sparrings, a lot of them, to realize who you're fighting. So that's the whole thing.
What would you say is a good way to start jiu-jitsu? Like good things to look for, good things to practice? Just count. Like I got good at jiu-jitsu because when I was a white belt, this dude did a heel hook to me, and I remember I knew how to do heel hook as a white belt, and he was a purple, I think. And I wanted to do it. He was like, "Oh, you can do it. Only purples can do it, or brown belts or black belts." And he submitted me, and I was like, "Oh, this dude, I'm going to destroy him in one moment." I really do. So I would just see his game, see how he would fight, and just like start looking in YouTube how to neutralize all the things that he does. So I didn't fight him for 2 years. I got my blue belt, he got his brown belt. We fought the graduation day, and I destroyed him.
5 years, like five taps in 5 minutes. And he just got his brown belt, I was a blue belt, and he was like, oh, and I was like, he didn't remember me. He was like, who are you? And I was like, I'm Bruno. Like, we fought like 2 years ago. He was like, oh, I don't remember. I was like, yeah. Thanks to you, I got better. So always chase the guy that wins you. You just have to become really obsessed on winning this dude. Like, you go to the gym, this dude is beating your ass, you just get obsessed, see him, like what he's eating, like what he does, everything. I got really obsessed with this, like, because it's a good way of measure your ability. Like, imagine a blue belt submitting this brown belt. I was training like 12 years, I was training like 2. So I was like, okay, I have a good level for a blue belt, I can submit brown belts. Who's next? Okay, I want a black belt. So first time I submit a black belt, I was a blue belt. And I submit a few, and they were good. In that time, they were like they were old, not at all, they were like in their 42, 43, sorry if you were like, but I was like 20, and these dudes have been training for 14 years, and I only had like 2 years training, and I could submit them. So it was a good measure, as a blue belt, at least.
How have you seen the sport change? Because I'm sure you've seen a lot of change over the, 15 years or so you've been practicing?
Yeah. I always like leg locks. Leg locks was a problem. When I started as a white belt, I started doing leg locks. I had a leg lock teacher that started seeing this Russian dude that's from Sambo. That was, I will remember in a moment, but it was this old school pancrase leg lock dude, and he had a really good leg locks, and he started teaching me everything that he learned. So I did leg locks till I was a brown belt, and brown belt I started changing my game to have a little bit of arm bars and more stuff. But leg locks for me, I never pass a guard. I was always like, I would see a feed and I would just try to break it, and that was the whole game. And I couldn't compete well if I go to an IBJJF tournament, because there were a lot of illegal moves that I was doing that in that moment were illegal, that was ripping. And I couldn't compete well, so I have to compete in ADCC rules every time I fight. Or, in my favorite was the EBI rules, like Eddie Bravo ones. So those rules were fun, but IBJJF was a big problem to me. They were like, I would go to a gym, do a leg lock, and it was like, oh no, this is illegal because you're passing the leg. But right now that it's legal, I can have fun. It's better.
You think a lot more people are moving towards no gi and away from gi?
Yeah, a lot more no gi. No gi is the future. For me, if there's an Olympic sport, it will be like a no gi one. Because people watching it is fun. Wrestling, you don't use a gi. In judo you do, but there's only throws. And judo in the Olympics is, they just keep cutting the throws that you can make. Like I think right now you can only do like 47 throws that are legal, and the old school ones are not allowed.
And why do you think they're doing that?
So it was funny. My wrestling coach, in one moment he competed in judo and he became a judo national champion, and he never did judo just because he was good at takedowns, but grabbing like low end of the body. And judokas weren't that good at that, so that's why I think they prohibit, because a lot of wrestlers will destroy a lot of judo guys. There are a lot of judo guys that are good, but there's also a lot of good wrestlers that are really good. So in one moment it was going to be judo and wrestling was going to be one, and judo was going to disappear, because there's all the throws that you can do in wrestling you can do it in judo, but not all the throws that you can do in wrestling you can do it in judo. So that's the sport is just has a lot of limitations. So.
Do you think many of these traditional martial arts are going to last, or you think it's all moving towards no-gi grappling, mixed martial arts?
People don't like to spar. People don't like fighting. People sometimes they just like to be like, oh, I'm a black belt, and like I'm the big deal, and they will never fight in their life. They will just fight for the black belt, just doing this motion without sparring. And people like it. So there's a big market for that, for saying I'm a black belt that don't fight. It's big everywhere. You always find this everywhere. Like Taekwondo black belts that have never gone into a fight, and they're really good at breaking wood stuff, but in the real life they're not as good. Now competition ones, they are like Karate Kyokushin. Like I will think twice before getting in a fight with one of those dudes, or these Korean taekwondos that are Olympics. Those guys can fight, but you see the portion of black belts that are in the world and the ones that can fight, and it's super slow. Might be like 5% of all the black belts that fight in karate and taekwondo. And in jiu-jitsu, you can't get a belt without fighting. That's the cool part. But people don't like fighting, so there's a market for everyone.
Do you think one of the problems with these martial arts is maybe in the beginning they were a bit looser or more general, and then over time they started to get more
people
rules
fighting
and
in
more...
the 80s, they all suck. Like they weren't good.
No, but I mean more so like I think about Aikido, and Aikido can be really effective, but I think the way people practice, it's not so effective. And even the guy who started it, like he was doing judo, he was doing Aikido, he was working with a sword, he was wrestling, he was doing everything. But I think because he got so good, he could then begin to take all that knowledge and transfer it into something that was more light. But then I think the people who followed, they just took what he said, but they didn't understand, as you said, like all the layers in between. Like you were saying, there is something about this flow or this energy, but you only see that in black belts or like guys who are really good. Because it's like you have to go through all the other levels to be able to begin to touch on that.
Like if you get a black belt in Aikido, I think you can get it in 4 years.
I don't know.
I think 4 years is the average to get a black belt. 5 years. How long in Jiu-Jitsu you're a black belt? It's like 13 years. So you're giving black belt to someone that for me 5 years of training is not enough in that type of training. The flow, the movement, the grappling itself. But Aikido itself, I think when people talk about too good, like this will always work, that's the problem. In Jiu-Jitsu, if one move always work, everybody will be a world champion. They want to do it the fastest. In Aikido, you ask any Aikido teacher and they will all say, oh, this move works 100% of 100 times. That's the bad part. They don't have solutions. They don't have, if this dude escape, what do I do? No, they won't escape. It's like, dude, they will escape. That's the problem. They don't have enough movements itself. It might work. It might. But it also might not work, like Jiu-Jitsu. But different between Aikido and Jiu-Jitsu is that in Jiu-Jitsu I can say it might not work. All the Aikidos would say, oh yeah, definitely works. That's the problem about martial arts.
It is funny because I used to train Aikido for a bit, and I really liked it. Like I liked the idea, the principle, the tradition. But there's I can't remember now because it was many years ago. But there's this very common thing where you wrist lock them and you put them to the ground and you hold their arm. And it was very much like you said. It's like, okay, you've got them now. And like one of my first classes, I just rolled out. Yeah. And they were like, you can't do that. And I was like, but it's so easy. I just did it.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. That's why I like Jiu-Jitsu better. Because there's always opportunities. And if they're not, you will invent them. But in Aikido, they only have these steps because this teacher taught it. That is like, that teacher said that only this 100 move works. So we can create more because we're not a teacher. You just create, people just put a name. Like you can call Jason Choke and it might work. That's a cool part because It's a community. Like if you teach a movement that is really nice, I'll put it in my game and I'll call it the Jason move, and I don't have a problem because it's once you create it, it's like in the internet. Once you put it there, it's in the cloud. Everybody can grab it, and everybody can use it. And it's not like, oh, because this dude invented that is a world champion, it will always work. No, maybe a blue belt invented it and it works, and people will use it, and the community itself help each other a lot. I do instructionals for free in Instagram or TikTok or anywhere, and it's not like, hey, I'm not going to teach this thing to this guy because he might beat me in a point. No, you just share it. So the best thing about Jiu-Jitsu for me is that everybody's like an open book. They want you to get better, and if you get better, I will get better. Because if you start beating me, there's a problem with me, so I have to change it and get better to beat you. And then I teach you better and you beat me. So you just keep growing. It's a brotherhood of growing.
Do you think Jiu-Jitsu was benefited in that because it did come to Brazil? So it's like already it had to change in a way, and there was different people thinking about it?
Because in Peru and Brazil get along really well. So in my gym in Lima, Renzo Gracie was going there maybe the weekends, like in the 98, just because we get along because of football. But Argentina and Brazil, they don't get along because of football. So when Argentina's Jiu-Jitsu started, they were all judokas that were doing Jiu-Jitsu, like a lot of them. And in the competition, you'll find in the cartels, like in the street, Jiu-Jitsu competition, no Brazilian allowed. Because they will beat everybody. So Brazilian dudes like surfing. So they will also come to Peru, surf. I've seen surfing like old MMA fighters that remember the name that were like not Marco Ruas, the other Brazilian dude. Okay, this I will remember. That is part of Checkmat and was in Black Zillions. But you'll see this dude surfing and like super like Hall of Famer, and you're like, hey dude, oh yeah, no, it was a big crecida like for surfing. So they will go there, or they will go to Ecuador, to Guayaquil. That's why Guayaquil has so much good jiu-jitsu. In Jiu-Jitsu in Guayaquil, it's like really good. They have a Templanet, they have a Checkmat, they are really good black belts. Just because Brazilians like to surf, Jiu-Jitsu go well, football, we get along, but they won't go surfing to Argentina, they won't go surfing to Uruguay, they won't go surfing to Chile, to cold. So Ecuador and Peru have really good Jiu-Jitsu level thanks to that football thingy. That it's amazing.
Because even now, I mean, it seems like some people are starting to use the term American Jiu-Jitsu, and like a lot of Brazilians, I think, are.
They even say it like because it started with Black Zillions because there was this team called Black Zillions. I think they were like really good fighters. Randy, the boxer, was there. And this guy that I will remember that was the surfer, but then Gordon Ryan started with American Jiu-Jitsu. That was Jake Shields there. That was Nate Diaz. It was like more manly Jiu-Jitsu, more like Andrew Tate Jiu-Jitsu, but in a not that bad way. Like just in a way of, you use strength too. Not the part of the Brazilian would say like, gentle art. No, they were like, we use strength. Like Gordon Ryan, I think he just admitted he had a little bit of stare. I don't know, like they use strength. It's not like the gentle art, more like fighting. It's better. That is funny because we live here in this place that is called the Valley, that everybody is no fighting, everybody should get along. Fighting is bad, and we live here and we still have people that like to fight and they still do their stuff and they're really good, some of them.
Do you think there's something that's misunderstood? Because there's a quote by Jordan Peterson, and I think he says, and it's a really good quote. And
that you have to have a monster inside, but control it.
Yeah. And also this idea that if you think strong men are dangerous, wait until you see what weak men can do. And because it's this idea that you know, and I'm sure you feel the same way, but when you work on yourself, when you train, when you have discipline, when you know how to fight, you actually become much more peaceful. Like, because you're letting that energy go.
Weak people doesn't understand violence because they're weak. Because of that, they have never been in a violence environment. Once you get in a violence environment, you're not weak anymore because you survive there. But if you don't know how much violence a person can do, you have no idea of nothing. You just can create in your imagination, oh yeah, I'll destroy this dude, like I'll mess around with him, I'll destroy him, because my anger is so big that I can do it. You haven't seen nothing when this really violent dude is in front of you, seeing with this crazy face, like you're done. And once you have the hand of this dude grabbing you, destroying you, then you are like traumatized because you're weak. You have never thought about violence. And weak dudes come in 2, in 3, in 4. They're all weak. They are all, I don't know how to explain it. They need this encouragement of their friends. They need this encouragement of, I'm doing well, oh yeah. People say like, oh, I'm a big dude, I will destroy you. Yeah, because I'm big, oh yeah. And all the people are coming to me and saying, oh yeah, you're the big dude, you should win, oh yeah. I have all those things inside me. And this tiny dude that I have trained all his life has been in a lot of violence, has been in a lot of situation where his life was compromised, or he just don't give a fuck about his life. It doesn't matter if he gets killed. That's the dude that you have to be aware of. That's the guy that will destroy you in seconds and traumatize you, definitely.
There's also something that you said that I noticed, which I think is that mob mentality, that mob violence is much more likely to happen with people who don't know how to fight, with people who aren't trained.
Yeah, no, because people that are not trained think that they can do a lot of violence. When in reality, they might give me a punch that won't hurt. They will throw me a rock that won't hurt because they have never trained, they're not strong. They will kick me and I'll be like, they have never kicked in their life. But they think that they can. That the kick will destroy my bones, that the kick will throw me to the ground. And once they punch me, they'll be like, oh, it's not like that. Like, I live in a third world country. I used to get in a lot of fights. And you will always find this dude that hit first. But I was so used to getting hit that they will hit me first and we're like, dude, like, if that's your best punch, it's going to be a problem for you. Because I'm used to hits. Like in school, we used to fight over schools. Like at 3 p.m. we would leave the school and we'll go to other school just to fight. We'll go to the garden on the park the other way just to fight. Like in my school, we used to fight a lot. Like I was in first of, I don't know how to say it in English. And I'll fight guys 3 years older, 4 years older, just because, like in Jiu-Jitsu, like, oh, if I can beat this dude, maybe I can beat the next one, and the next one, and the next one. You just keep like reaching for your goal. So when I was like 13, I would try to get in a fight with 17s, just because if I win one, oh, it's going to be worth it. And I remember I was 13 beating this 17-year-old dude, and I was like, and then I started training at 15, and I was like, oh, this is, now maybe I can fight a dude that is 30, that is 40, maybe I can fight a dude that is my father's friend that I don't like him, and I can. So when I was 16, I was like, oh, I can fight older dudes. That's fine. So yeah, that's how you learn how much violence you can do. Kind of.
Because it seems to me that understanding is important. I mean, even here last month, there was a lot of like protests and roadblocks, and again, it's a very, it's a complicated situation. But I found all of the people who were supporting that had no understanding of violence.
Nothing. No, there were like 10 guys with wood saying like, "Oh, if you pass, I will destroy this wood to you." Till you get down on the motorcycle and just like, okay. You. Okay, there's 7 of you. There's 10 of you. Okay, you will see ages. I would say ages. Like, okay, you are like 20. You're 30. Oh, these dudes are like 50. Okay, only 6 of you will fight. Okay, let's fight and see if I can pass or I can fight or I cannot. And there was like, once they see you that you are really going to fight, they was like, okay, I will let you pass by this time. Tomorrow, I won't. There will be more people, but you just go with this mentality of, okay, if you really want to fight, I'll fight the 10. I have no problem.
But I think that's the thing too, is like when people support that, it's because they don't realize like what that means. Like when you stop a road,
it's a bully.
It's a bully.
It's a 10 bullies trying to bully someone. I don't like bullies.
And it's a violent mentality.
Yeah. So but if 10 bullies are coming, it's like, imagine you hate pedophiles. You have 10 pedophiles out there. 10. They might beat you, but I'm going to destroy a few. So I have 10 bullies. I hate bullies. I'm going to take a few and I have 10 in front of me. So thank you. Because now I can throw a few, and once they get a hit, they will never do that again. So...
And that's the danger of that mob mentality.
That
because
problem
it
is
is bullies.
Like, I think humans are also, when they know they can win, they get really idiots. They get like, oh yeah, I did this to that, I can kick him in the ground. Like, that's when everything starts like going up. Like, if I know I can beat you and I'm a bully, I'm going to beat you really bad. So it gets getting worse. So that's why I don't like bullies. So if you just control that bully, all these guys, and you have them there, and it's like, hey dude, like this is going to cost you maybe a teeth or something, I'm going to break something. They will be like, okay, I will let you pass because they don't want to have that confrontation. But yeah, people here is bully, but you see, like, we live here and people don't like to fight. People don't come to class to train to fight because they think they're all fighters. They all think that between 3 they can beat someone. They have their own brotherhood that is like that. That is not, it's not nice. Living here is nice for a few things, but local people, it's really old mentality of bullying, of, like, you see here, I have teach a lot of kids, a lot of women that were hit by their husbands. I used to teach a lot of local people, and it's really, people don't do nothing here. And I try to do it with a lot of NGOs, we work with everything, but really people don't care about that stuff here, and it bothers me a lot. And you see it here too.
Do you think martial arts is actually a way out of that?
It's a good way. Like, I used to teach them these 60-year-old mamachas. And just by teaching them a few things, just to protect themselves. Because here people work from Monday to Friday, and they start drinking Friday night, and they woke up Monday 7 a.m. Like, sometimes I'm driving and I can drive because I have people laying down in the street drunk, and you go there, you say like, hey dude, can you move off of the street, you're drunk. And it's not even nice because they will start like throwing up, or they will like get you in the fight and they can't even walk. It's super weird. Like,
do you think it's good for the men too? Because
here I prefer to teach to women. If it's there are locals, I prefer women and kids to teach, not men. I think men here is a waste of time to learn. Like, if they're all bullies, if you teach them how to fight, it's going to be worse.
But don't you think if you start if you start a kid with a good discipline like Jiu-Jitsu or like Muay Thai, then they don't become a bully.
Yeah.
But you have to start young.
You have to start young. Yeah. In Lima, I used to teach this in this orphan school, and normally the women are the ones that fight better than the kids. When they are kids, like if somebody's listening, they have a school, and they're like under 13 women, like little kids are like bigger, taller, they're strong. So I think if you teach these little kids to respect their rights, and this boy that is also 12-year-old, like, oh yeah, blah blah, get punished by this 13-year-old girl, they will start respecting women, because they were like, oh, when I was a kid, this woman was like, have put their limits, their balance. Like, I cannot go and hug her, I cannot go and do this stuff, because she was like, I think if you teach a kid under 13 what is good and what is bad and who you respect, it will be the whole life like that. That's why it's under 13. Once you are 14 and you have been, they didn't tell you who to respect, then you wake up as a bully now in a few years.
Because that seems like one good thing about like more quote unquote traditional martial arts is there is this like respect, this honoring your teacher, bowing to them, like learning humility. Like it does seem like there's a focus on that.
If you see, we have been training like 3 years. I don't care much about that. I just care that people come and have fun and do their sparring, and people don't break the other one. If you just do that, I'm happy.
But with Jiu-Jitsu, like you said, it's a bit different because you have to fight. And so I think there's this inherent humility that's built into it. Like you're going to get humbled.
Exactly. You're going to get humbled one way or the other. Like in our class, you have never seen a dude that comes like, oh yeah, I'm going to destroy everybody, because you get humbled. It's really easy. And they start like, they're not like, I'm never like, oh yeah, come teacher, come blah blah. I'm like, I just like to teach, and I like people to respect each other. The class that everybody respect each other in the fighting. It doesn't matter if you don't respect it in the, like you can make jokes, you can do anything, but I like the respect of, if somebody's tapping, you let him go. If somebody has something to say, you listen, even if you're in a fight, like, hey, sorry, my hair got stuck when we fight girls in the gym. And just like, yeah, no worries, like, you're okay? Okay, we can continue. That is, for me, is better than showing your teacher, oh, thank you teacher, blah, blah. Oh. That for me is the best. Respecting each other. And you get it in Jiu-Jitsu. And if you don't, I'll go 100%. Or you will go. Normally I send you, but but I'm controlling myself to don't go 100%. That's the thing.
It seems like in a lot of countries, I mean, definitely in the US and Europe, there's a huge wave of like young people doing jiu-jitsu, just doing jiu-jitsu, mixed martial arts maybe, but especially jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. I mean, it seems like there's a real, almost like need, like people are finding
that's what I'm saying. It's because after sparring, you get humble and you get tired. You can go 100%, you can go to your bed and sleep well. I think a lot of kids has a problem with that. A lot of kids has struggles. That some dudes have really good struggles, like bad ones, and some others they're not, but they think that they do. But in both cases work, that if you give 100%, you will sleep well.
I think that's important. I mean, unfortunately, we were talking about earlier, there was like another mass shooting in the U.S. and it was, it was another kid. Well, I think they were maybe like early 20s, but, still.
Yeah, like I thought it was just a kid and you said it was a transgender kid. Yeah. And I didn't, like I'm from here, like I'm from Peru, and normally I watch news from everywhere, but I didn't see any news that said it was a transgender kid.
Well, I think it's pointing to this thing that there's a real like mental health crisis,
I think right now people in the States, like here is easy. Here, if it doesn't matter who you are. Like in my school, I was called the Whitey. We have my best friends. We were only 17 in the school, and each one had a different ethnicity, and we call by our ethnicity, each of us, and we know each other since we are 5. We are best friends. The 17, we're really, really close, like family close. And it was never like, oh, don't call me like that. Like, I have been so many nicknames. I was like the Whitey or the Dalmatian because I had a lot of moles around the body. And it was like messing around. But right now, people just get it too hard. Like, oh yeah, like, he called me like that. Oh no, I have to go for my rights. And I don't know how to fight. Oh, I'm not going to get bullied. I can do violence. That's when guns start coming out. That's when we were talking about weak dudes that they think that they can harm and they can't. It works without guns. It works here. If you have a gun and you're a weak dude, you're going to destroy your life, but you're going to make a mess around. That's the problem.
Well, it reminded me of a good buddy of mine who did jiu-jitsu, and I mean, it was really touching, but one day I was talking to him and he said, jiu-jitsu, it gives me a reason to wake up in the morning.
Yeah, this is...
And I think so much of what you're saying, it's like this energy exertion, you can sleep well, there's a camaraderie there.
Like, there's something else. Imagine we spar every day. Every day, and every day you can kill me. Like, if you want, we're in sparring, just you and me.
Well, it's more the opposite, but yeah.
No, but imagine if you choke me every day, and every time I tap, you let me go. This give me a trust that nobody else give me. Not even my mom, my dad, my sister can give me that kind of trust. The one that I give my body, my life to you. Because if you and me are training and nobody else around, and I tap you, and you don't want to tap to let me go, you just really don't want to, you're in a rear naked choke behind, I can do nothing, you can kill me. But I'm trusting your life, my life, that if I tap, you will let me go. And that gives you a bond that nobody else gives you. That's the cool part. Because you're imagine, first time we're fighting. Now imagine this. I will tell you, Jason, you're going to walk through the street, give a gun to this dude, and say like, if I put my hands up, you won't shoot me. Do you trust this dude? In Jiu-Jitsu, you trust him. It's the same. You have a dude that can kill you, you are trusting. By tapping, he will let you go. That makes a bond that is stronger than anything. That's the cool part. That's why I like it. And that's why I don't spar with everybody. Because I need to know you first. I need to... Like, if you come to the gym and you... I don't know, I like to watch first. If you're a good person. And if you're not a good person, I will never be in a position that you can hurt me because I don't trust you. But once I trust you, okay, you can be in my back, you can play around, because I know that you will let me go. That bond is hard to explain to somebody that has never tapped to another dude that doesn't know who he is.
It's funny because I know some people who've been close to me, like girlfriends, say, just in general, I never like having my back to people. And I think it's something subconscious.
Exactly, because like it's trusting someone. It's a trust of your life. It's not an easy trust. And that helps you in life, help you trust in more people. Like before this, I didn't trust almost nobody. Like only my 17 cool friends, they were the only dudes I would trust. But Jiu-Jitsu made me trust a lot more people, and in a good way. Like, it's so good the bond that I know I can travel the world, go to a gym, have fun, and if I want to stay in that country, I might get a job, I might get someone that tell me, oh, this place is nice, come with us to eat, or in the night, let's go to this party, or there's this mountain, there is really nice, we can go to tomorrow. So the community itself, because of this bond, is so nice that you can travel the world and make so much friends and know they will show you the world, the best that they have around, and you will have fun. That's a good part of Jiu-Jitsu.
And that to me seems like, again, part of this thing that's really important, which is this mental health aspect, which, I think like a lot of things, you see it more in the U.S. The U.S. is often like the country that a lot of these problems start. It also tends to be where the remedies begin to come from. But, all over the world, it seems like there is like a kind of a mental health crisis. People are depressed, they're anxious, they're lonely, lack of purpose. I mean, even a lot of the work I do with plant medicines, like that's a big part of it. Is
Yeah,
people
so
feel
you
a
have
bit
more
lost
jobs than before. Now you're like everywhere. But here it is too.
But something like Jiu-Jitsu seems like it helps with a lot of those things. Again, it has its flaws like anything, but
I think it helps if you have to be a little bit crazy to do Jiu-Jitsu, because what I'm saying, you give your life to others. Trust. But once you give that, it's a good remedy for everything. It's a good... like here everybody does everything. You see that here in the valley, let's say like from every 10 people, 9 do like plants medicine or drugs or everything or I don't know how to explain it, but people come here,
yoga
or some stimulation.
No, yoga, like things like yoga and
yoga.
Yeah.
No, like plants.
Yeah, but there's a lot of yoga and different spirituality stuff like that.
Yes, but it's just too many things that goes to your brain. Like too many essential stuff that triggers something that can be good, can be bad, that sometimes you just go to get into your bag, to know each other, you just have to travel, you just have to do this stuff. But they don't have a sporty mentality here in the valley. As you see, how many people do sports that you see? There's none. They only do like soccer once a week. Once a week is nothing. People here prefer to do plant medicine than sports. And I think that at least you need to do both. You can't do just plant medicine and no sports. You cannot know yourself if you don't do sports. Because I'm with plant medicine, I have reached this, I know this, I've been bad in my past life, now I'm getting better. Now, how you get better? Just staying how you were? No. You start running, you start sweating, all the bad thing that you had, you start like going to the gym, you have a good nutrition, now you're good. But before that, I've seen all these dudes that are like plant medicine stuff, and they're like fat dudes. They are like guys that don't take care of themselves. They are dudes that said like, they are masters, and they're like, you see them everywhere. But there's the other side. There's this dude that like Chase, Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He does his plant medicine. He's in good shape. You see him, and you see this dude is healthy in mind and in body. But then you see the other ones that are like healthy in mind and their body. They might die in a few years. So it's a big part of that, and people don't realize it. And a lot of women do yoga, but they still do it once a week, because they're always in dieta. And this week I can do it 30 minutes and then I'm done. I can do it more. And it happens.
It was funny because a while ago I was talking to a Brazilian friend of mine. She's a yoga teacher, and she was saying like, I don't understand violence, and I just could never do that. And I was like, well, maybe, but maybe you just haven't put yourself in those situations.
Yeah.
And then like a week later, she came to me and she's like, Jason, I was riding in the back of a motorcycle, and this dog tried biting me. And I didn't even think about it. I just kicked it in its face.
Full violence. Yeah.
And she felt so bad. And I was like,
yeah,
no, that's what it's a natural instinct. Like it's
that's your instinct.
trying to harm you. Like,
yeah. But still, I don't kick dogs. Never. Like, I also ride on a motorcycle like you, and I've seen dogs trying to chase me, and I just go a little bit faster. I don't have the need to kick them. And in the bicycle, it's the same. When I go in a bicycle and this dog try to bite me, I don't kick him. I just go out of the bicycle and put the bicycle as a shield. It's like, hey dog. Normally, it's really weird that a dog really wants to bite you. Normally, they want to bite the tire of the bike. But I'm like that. But yeah, if you're not used to someone biting, you just react. But you just have to go around with what you do. Like, yeah. Typical plant medicine dude that gets in a fight in the market because of one soul is getting 30 cents more expensive than the last week. Oh no, this is too much. I'm like, dude, like you're a plant medicine dude. What are you fighting about 30 cents? It happens here. Happens a lot. Or people that are like super, yeah, I'm the new generation of guys that are going to guide you like Charlie Manson, and they will get like, yeah, there are a bunch. And there will be like this mamacha that just walk 4 hours with this bag of potatoes, and it's like, oh yeah, it's the pound of potato is $1. Oh no, it's too much. No, and what else are you going to give me? It's like, dude, like you charge a lot of money, at least you can help your community. Like here, I help a lot of the community. Like each Christmas, I give like to the 400 kids toys. I do chocolatas so they can drink the milk chocolate, a panettone. Like I get like toys so the kids can go around. But for here, this is a big deal. Like we have gave bicycles before with you and me, like giving to the kids that had to walk to the school, and now they can go in a bicycle to the school, so they don't have to walk 2 hours. They can do it in 20 minutes. And you see that people here, beside telling to the mamachas, oh yeah, you're charging too much, they're like, oh yeah, you need to help, you need to do this, you need to do that. They never do nothing here. I've never ever seen a plant dude guy helping kids. Never, or someone. And that bothers me. They should, like, they're always like, oh yeah, this mamacha came with this plant that is really good for your body, and we're doing this tea, and I'm paying this mamacha, and we're all giving her money. Yeah, that mamacha has money. There's like 500 more. And you're giving all to that. What if you do change the whole thingy, and you just, instead of doing it in your house or in this place that charge like 5,000 sol, that is like $2,000 in one day, why instead don't bring these people to the community and give that money to the community, and you can help them evolve, like create, like give something to the ones that are giving you something back. That doesn't happen here, and I don't like that.
Well, there definitely is. And I don't know if it's just in people who work with plants, but maybe more so. There's a real interesting mentality of like how you value something, and I think there's often this real lack of appreciation for what things are actually worth. Like within the world of plants, within the world of other things, like you were saying, like what is food worth? What is time worth? What is doing something for someone worth? You know, all of these things have value, and to not understand that is a really big shortcoming.
Exactly, and it happens a lot here. Or the other thing that happened that also bothers me a lot is that imagine you have your iPhone 9, like, or 8, like old one. They will be like, oh yeah, like these dudes in Peru don't know what their real price is. So I'm going to charge them for a second-hand iPhone. I just saw it on Facebook yesterday. $300 for an iPhone 8. $300. Because I use it, I'm not from here, then I'm not like these people that throw their phone everywhere. It's like super taken care of, so I'm going to sell it super expensive because these people don't know about prices. Because I'm from other part of the world that yesterday I saw it. And that's the other thing I hate.
Do you think that's one of the benefits of something like Jiu-Jitsu? You spoke about this thing of like knowing oneself. And Jiu-Jitsu a lot of martial arts, but especially Jiu-Jitsu seems to be really important. Like like you can't bullshit in jiu-jitsu.
You can bullshit. You can.
Like you know right away, like, are my words true or are they false?
Yeah.
Is my body true? Is it false? Is this move true? Is it false? In a lot of life, I mean, you see it a lot in the plant world, but in a lot of things, like you can talk a lot, you can have a lot of theories. You see it in politics, like, oh, I believe in this.
Yeah.
But what are you doing? Like, is it real? Does it work? And in jiu-jitsu, there is something where it's very true and you can't lie. You can't bullshit. Like, you can say all you want, but right now we're going to find out.
That's why these kind of people, the ones I'm telling that I don't like, I know that if they would do jiu-jitsu and they would train 20 years, they'll be bad at jiu-jitsu. Because you have to, like you're saying, you have to do what you are practicing really well. And if you're not, and you're just changing the path a little bit, you're not good at jiu-jitsu. It can be happen. You can train 20 years, 8 hours a day, and you will suck. Just because you have to follow the path exactly as it's supposed. What you say, what you pray, you do it. What you say, you do it. And if not, that bullshitting is not going to lend you anyone. And everybody will realize that you're the bullshitting training, and they're like, oh. That's why I teach, like today, I teach positions where you just can mess around with people that are too, like, oh yeah, I'm this dude that just came. So I show you this back take that is like a fun way just to mess around with people that says that can fight and can't fight. There's this cool position that you just like put it in the air just to mess around because they can't move.
Do you think there are certain qualities in people that like people who are drawn to jiu-jitsu? Because it's not for everyone. I mean, you know, as you were saying, like if you're not disciplined, if you don't really want
a lot of discipline, a lot. I used to train a lot, and yeah, like no eating so I can stay in the gym more time. That kind of training. The training of what do I have to give of my life to be better at jiu-jitsu. Like, okay, I can go surfing, yes, but how long is it going to take me? Put away to go to the beach, like surf, 1 hour, 2 hours, okay, now it's 4 hours done. I can just stay here, train jiu-jitsu while it's really warm because my gym used to have full of glasses and the sun will hit it and it was super warm. And I will be like, oh, I can be with the beach with my friends, or I just can keep training and get better. You have to sacrifice a lot to be good at jiu-jitsu.
Do you think that's the main thing that separates people who are really good at jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, sacrifices. Yeah. Like, I can fight a dude and I can realize how much he has sacrificed to be that good. And I respect that a lot. My teacher, my jiu-jitsu teacher in Lima, he was a psychologist. And the cool part about him is that he wouldn't care much about positions, missions itself. He just would talk to you and put you on focus to learn in order to fight. Like if I had a fight, he would be the best corner ever. He won't just tell you, do that, blah, blah. Keep walking. Like Valentina Shevchenko put him once on a fight night. Just bring him from Peru to here, to there, because he's a good talker. And you can just talk to him and he will put you on the mind of fire, a fighting mind. I don't think a lot of teachers can do that. But this dude was a psychology sport teacher. Changed the whole game.
That seems like another big thing, because I think when a lot of people think of martial arts, they look at it as purely physical. And of course, there is a physical aspect, but there's a huge amount of mind. Yeah. And I think in jiu-jitsu, you really see that. You start to see where your mind starts to break down.
There are people are really good at sparring, and one time you just compete, they suck. And you're like, dude, like, you're so much better than the other dude. They're like, yeah, but I don't know what happened. Because if you have too much ego, you cannot show a good fight. Because you protect too much, you don't do much. If you put the ego on the side and you just have fun, That's when a good fight start popping out. When you see two guys that are fighting, smiling, that's a good fight. I know that I will like that one.
But even in sparring, I mean, like I can see it for myself. Like sometimes, especially like here with the altitude, like sometimes you're just so tired, and your mind starts saying like, just give up, just tap, find a way out, make an excuse, say you're hurt, change position.
Sometimes I'm a bastard too, and I put you to 5 minutes sparring with 6 people, no rest, just to mess around. But yeah, you do it. Training here is different than training in other part of the world because of the altitude. So
But I mean, again, it's another excuse, right? It's just, I mean, it's real,
but it's I think it's good because
for sure.
because it's an extra that you don't find in the coast. Because in the coast you can be tired, you give a few breaths, and you're like, okay, I can keep fighting, and your mind is okay. But in the other way, the mind start playing tricks. Like, I want to breathe in, I can't. That's a big deal. And when you get over that, that's nice. You feel it. Because you have feel it a lot of times. And you go to your house and you feel like happy. Like my mind was saying, I cannot do it. I cannot breathe. I cannot keep fighting. And I just did it. I'm better than I was before the fight. That is a big thing here.
And I think it's a big thing in life.
Yeah.
Like, because you realize, like, you're much stronger mentally than your mind wants to tell itself. Mm-hmm. And like you said, when you think like, oh my God, I'm dying, I can't breathe, or this guy is choking me out, or I'm going to pass out, or he's going to break my nose, it's so easy to tap out or to stop. But those times when you, for whatever reason, however you get yourself out of that story, and then you come back and you escape, or even better, you tap the guy out.
You feel younger. You feel like, wow, I'm the king of the world. Yeah, it makes, like, it will make your whole day better. Like, trust me, your whole day you feel it, because, well, like, you go back to your house with a smile, because you didn't quit. And the more adversities you have in the sparring, and here air is one, just breathing, going back to your house and said like, oh, I didn't tap, or I did the best I could, and because people here, you see that when they come here and we spar and they have only a week here, they might puke. That's what everybody does. But the next day that they didn't puke, they're like so happy because they didn't puke, and it's just like you make their day better.
So was there something that you did to work on that mental aspect of training the mind, or was it just discipline, just doing it over and over?
Discipline. A lot of discipline, yeah. Muay Thai gave me a lot of cardio. So every time I would have a Jiu-Jitsu fight here, I would just do Muay Thai, just to get in shape. And I also do sparrings, but the cardio one, Muay Thai was best cardio you can get. And I would lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks. That is a lot. Yes, Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. It's a good combination, just because of the cardio. I've been to a lot of Muay Thai classes, and I know there's like ones that are like 40 minutes warm up, 10 minutes striking, and 10 minutes warm up more, and you end up so tired. You're like, oh, where's the technique? Like, if you guys are listening, if you really want to start fighting, I would just go to box, maybe a little bit of technique, and then go back to Muay Thai just with a little bit of, because they do so much cardio, or choose a nice school that they don't do much cardio. But if you want to get in shape, instead of CrossFit, I would just do Muay Thai.
What would you say are like the benefits and the drawbacks of Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, Muay Thai, maybe wrestling too?
I don't think it has drawbacks. That's the thing. I respect so much all of those arts that I don't think there's a drawback.
So what would you say then are the advantages of each one?
You learn how to get humble, because if you go to a ring with a boxer, he will humble you. If you go to wrestler, he will humble you. You do jiu-jitsu with that jiu-jitsu guy, he will humble you. So it's a nice therapy. When you think you're a king of the world and you start thinking about things that doesn't matter and you want to go back to earth, instead of plant medicine, you just spar with one of these dudes and he'll put your feet on the ground in seconds. And that's a cool part. That's why I respect it so much.
What do you think? Because there's often a lot of people who do martial arts. There's kind of this debate of whether to get really good at one martial art and then start to branch out, or now you have like mixed martial arts schools where you just start doing a bunch of different martial
I think you
arts.
have to get really good at one. The one that suits you better with your personality. And then you just start moving around. Because people that just train everything, you don't get that good. You just have to have a passion with one, a love with one. You can train everybody, but you have to have love and gusto. How do you say it in English? Would be like
a passion or
passion. So imagine the martial arts are like men and women. Okay, so it's good for you to have a lot of women. No, if you stick with one, it makes you grow as a person. It makes you better. Yeah, maybe then you weighed too much and she didn't satisfy you enough. Then you just keep going with your life. It's the same in martial art. You have one that you love with all your one, and then you have the passion ones. I'm tempted to go there, but the love there is sticking me there like jiu-jitsu. It sticks me in the jiu-jitsu. Okay, jiu-jitsu doesn't give me what I want now because I have grown as a person, or maybe I have went back as a person. I want to get better. Something happened with me. Now I can move to another martial art to see if it fit me. But if you have love for one in any sport, stick with it till the love is gone. Because you're going to get really good with that love.
And do you think, like a lot of things, it also gives you like something to fall back upon? Like even because even martial arts, I mean, they're for martial purposes. Like ultimately, they're for fighting. And do you think, like, if you really have a mastery, and maybe not even a mastery, but you're really good at one, it gives you something to fall back on. You know, it's like English. Like if I'm really confused, I can always think in English because it's just it's there. And it's kind of like we say in English, like a crutch. It gives you something to.
No. I don't think martial arts as a martial art itself to fight. I see it as a personal thing, like you were saying in English. Like, just to make my point, how many fights have you had in your life?
Like in a controlled way, or
a real fight?
Very few.
How many?
Maybe a handful.
That's the thing. And how much time have you used your martial arts for that?
A lot of time.
Those 5 times?
Oh, you mean in those 5 times?
Yeah.
Probably most of those were before I started training.
That's the thing. Once you start training, I don't want to shadow my sport, my love with fighting. For me, that's like, I prefer not to fight because it's degrading my passion, my love. I'm using my rehabilitation as a human to be better in life as a fighting. I don't want that. So, funny thing, if I fight in a street fight, I won't use jiu-jitsu. I will use striking because striking is my passion. And I don't want to mess around with my jiu-jitsu because that's my love. Because I use it for other purpose that is not. In one moment, like I told you, Muay Thai was the one that, if I want to get in a fight, was Muay Thai. But jiu-jitsu, once I change it, it's just my love. I don't want to break somebody's bone and say like, oh, this dude broke a bone of this other dude. Bully. And what he does, oh, jiu-jitsu, oh, he's a black belt, oh, those jiu-jitsu guys always breaking the stuff. That doesn't happen if you realize, like, you never see a jiu-jitsu breaking bones everywhere, because it's bad for the sport, it's bad for me as a person, it's bad for all the sacrifice I have done to break something. For that I have my time. Like, I have, in my life, I only, like, when I got in martial arts, like, training and fighting, blah, blah, like 2 fights in my life, people that had guns on me, like, not on me, but showing me, like, hey, I have a gun, I have, like, I'm going to shoot you, you start, do something, oh, dude, I'm going to destroy you, I'm going to, because you didn't have it on your hand. But the only time I got in 2 fights was 2 guys that were armed. If not, and I didn't use jiu-jitsu, because I don't want to. It's therapy.
In a lot of, it's interesting because like we were speaking, even like in a lot of this plant medicine work, I remember when I was working at this ayahuasca center, and I was training martial arts, and there was a lot of resistance to it because it was seen as violent. It wasn't like in alignment with like love and peace.
But it's because you see martial arts as a fighting method.
Yeah.
If you just see it as a relief, as a place to bond, as a place to make friends, as a place to relax, and it's like a club. If you see it that way, there's nothing wrong about it.
But it's also interesting because we were working with a group of people called the Shipibo, and the Shipibo traditionally they fought, they wrestled. That was like their main sport for all of their religious festivals. They fought like a lot of traditional fighting. Once you took someone to the ground, it was over. But the men would also knife fight, and the idea was to cut someone's neck. So, even in the center where it was supposedly about this culture, they had completely separated this one aspect of the culture because in their minds it didn't fit.
It's bad.
It's bad.
But you see in Puno that they have the Takainamo, that they fight. Like, I don't like you. The whole year you were my neighbor, you put music, I told you to stop, you park in front of my house, I didn't like it. You know what, dude? 25 of December, we're going to fight. So next year, that doesn't happen. And they get in the fight, and they drink together, and they're friends. That's a really fun way to put it, and it's a tradition that hasn't left. And I'm all in that one, because it's not police involvement. It's like you and me. We have something like we have a problem, and we are going to discuss it now. And I'm bad at words, and you're bad at words. Let's fight. And fun part, they don't do martial arts. They don't do boxing. They are not preparing the whole year with box for that fight in December. They are just there, and they're like, we are going to swing at it. So you see, that's the part I'm saying, that martial arts can be for fighting, yes. You see these dudes that want to fight on the 25th of December, they train martial arts? They don't. But they put their mess together. And they don't use the martial arts that it was created for. Because martial arts, for me, what I'm saying is more therapeutical than for fighting. For fighting, you can fight. Always fight. Anybody. It will help you? Yes. Why fight? It has to be extreme position, like what you were saying. You have to have a monster inside to take it out. Yes, I can put violence, but why? It has to be a strong position. Here it's not like the state that they will come to your house and maybe you find some guns, or here it doesn't happen. If you get in a fight, you might just talk a few, you might fight more than one dude, yes, but why?
I mean, because also, like even a lot of the, I mean, in Peru it's a little different, but like in the U.S., in Europe, I mean, to some degree in Peru too, there was this, like this European culture, which is often, it's said like, its roots are with the Greeks. But the Greeks, even in their education and in this kind of like idea of like a liberal arts education of like studying mathematics and science,
They have martial
and
arts, pancration.
they always had
Yeah.
some form of like
But
physical
They use
martial art.
pancration, right? But they didn't use pancration to fight. They used swords.
Well, they had wrestling, they had boxing.
They had wrestling, they had boxing, they had everything. But if they were going to a fight, they would
right.
use a sword.
Right.
The same here. Like if I'm going to get in a fight and I really want to destroy, I will bring a gun. I don't. I prefer to fight hand with hand moment. But you see how the community, how in that time you still get in the fight, you will use a sword. In this time you get in the fight, you use a gun. That happens a lot in the States. Here is a good part that it doesn't happen. That you can go hand with hand combat and it will be maybe a stick, not even a knife. That's why here is more controllable. Here if you talk and they see your eyes, they know if you can fight. They know if you're bullshitting. They will see you and they realize. In other parts of the world, oh, this dude knows how to fight, I will bring a gun to the fight. That's why you always see in English, oh yeah, why are you doing Jiu-Jitsu? These dude, all these YouTube fighters, like oh yeah, why are you going to learn this? If I will bring the gun, this dude that is 300 pounds that haven't moved the couch, and I will beat you. The problem is that he might, because he will stand up, he will see you there, and he will shoot you. You didn't have an opportunity. That's the bad part of the States. Here, like that doesn't happen. It's cool.
But some people would argue that's one of the good things too, is because, I mean, even martial arts, like the reason you're practicing is to neutralize the inherent benefit that someone else has, like their size or their strength.
Check Leandro Rollo. Leandro Rollo was in Brazil. This dude came.
For sure.
He neutralized him. He didn't break nothing because, like me, I don't think he wants to use but for the sport that says like, oh, this black belt breaking bones. He let the guy stand up and he shoot him. That guy in a hand-to-hand combat would never had a chance with Leandro. Never, ever.
But that's what I mean. Like the gun is even more of an equalizer. And like, so for a woman, for example, like it equalizes.
It equalizes. Yeah,
very,
of course.
Very effectively.
More.
Yeah.
When you don't have guns, that's when martial arts start showing. Here, they can show. In the States, they can show.
But do you think that's something that's been lost? Like just even in a purely educational sense, is that physical activity or that martial art, and even as you're saying, more so than just the physicality of it, like the mental training.
No, it's a cheat code. The gun is a cheat code. Imagine you're playing a game.
No, I don't mean the game. I mean like actually like the training of martial arts, like they were doing in Greece. Like they seem to realize that this is an integral part of your education, like of your physical, your mental, your emotional, your spiritual connection.
For your body. Yeah, of course.
And we seem to have, we're getting away from that. Like we're getting away from that kind of discipline that,
But it's because of cheat codes. Like imagine, I'm training 5 years. Oh yeah, but I can buy this knife, that blah, blah, blah. Yeah, now we're almost equal. But it's a cheat code. In that time, I don't think that was that mentality. That mentality was like, let's compete. Who's stronger? Who's the best?
Mm-hmm.
But use the martial art as a competition. That's why I'm trying to put martial arts there in competitions.
But that's what I mean. Like for the Greeks, they seem to recognize that that's super important.
Yeah,
like it's
important.
part of it should be part of everyone's education. Yeah. Like in the same way that you wouldn't just not do math because you're like, well, it's not so important. No, like you need to do math, you need to do martial arts, you need to learn about astronomy.
You need to be educated, you need to be good at sports, you need to do what I'm saying, mind and body. I think mind and body come from a Greek thinking because,
Well, it's interesting because even the word psychology, the psyche, like we often just think about it in terms of the mind.
But psyche means,
for the Greek, it meant mind, body, and soul. Yeah.
And I remember this, so funny thing, I remember this, the best pancration fighter that was born, you know who he was. His nickname was Five Fingers, blah blah blah. They never got the name. Five Fingers, why? Because when he was fighting, he got you in a Greco clinch and he will grab your hand. He was so strong that he will start twisting the hand, break your 5 fingers, and then he will fight. But he will fight you with 5 fingers less. So they were like such imagine training your day, all day grippers, just like this Ivan Cook, the Captain of Crash dude, just like getting into Jiu-Jitsu, just like getting and breaking the fingers and then fighting. And then like when, like imagine all that preparation just to get into a fight. For me, it's so impressive. Like it's, so people really like got into that trend. Like people will know about the competitions in Greece. Like these fighters that they're not like sword fighters. They're like pancrase fighters, and they're like.
I mean, also talking about plants. I mean, you know, I remember when I was living in Thailand. Like I remember when I fought the first time, there was something very psychedelic about it. I mean, there's the whole preparation, there's the ritual. They're putting like robes on you, flowers. The whole body is like this like oil where you can't feel anything. Yeah, and there's all these people screaming, and then they're playing this music, this like ding 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 ding. Yeah. You know, and my whole mind was just, it was like, it was beginning to change. It was like everything else was not important anymore. And it started cycling to the rhythm of this music. You know, it's very much like snake charming music. It's the same music they play to like charm a snake, you know, to get this snake in this particular state where it's just... So, you know, I think there was also something with combat that was, that people used in a very spiritual way. Like,
in one moment, definitely. Like, I've been to a lot of DMT stuff. Sometimes you just see more in DMT people hitting the ground, or people just hitting something because the heat make them connect. Like if I'm touching the ground, I'm touching dirt, but if I want to feel the ground, I punch it. So the vibration make me aware of where am I. You have seen it, no, in DMT stuff? So that hitting is a connection. Imagine me hitting you makes me, where am I? You hitting me, like all the vibration falling through my body, like I'm alive. What is this? Another human being. I'm feeling it. That connection is nice. It's different than the connection of just staying in one place without movement.
And it brings you close, I think, as close in a controlled way as you can. I mean, you know, other than war, which isn't really controlled, to this place of death, you know, which is very symbolic of this, like, death and rebirth. You know, like, because when you were in the ring, you know, like you're saying, it's like, you know, in the back of your mind, there's this agreement, hopefully, that either the referee or the other person or you says stop and it's over. But you're trying to simulate something where that's maybe not there, where it is like, because in a, you know, in a real fight or a war, it's one dies. That's who wins. It's not, there's no tapping out or the referee comes in and stops. It's two people come in, one person goes out.
Yeah. Your instincts start coming. But on DMT, your instincts are like 1,000 more. So those hittings makes you such awareness. Hitting a rock, hitting something, feeling pain. Those kind of things that people sometimes don't want to feel. That's the one that brings you more alive. Yeah. Oh yeah. Plant medicine for me, it's I don't do much. Like, you know, like I've done like DMT once in a while in certain ruins. There are ruins that don't like me to be there. They'll shut me down the whole medicine. I've done ayahuasca, not my favorite. But DMT, I like it because of these connections I'm saying. Like, it's good for good and bad connection, but just feeling them makes you better. It makes me happy to feel them, to know I can feel them.
Yeah, I mean, that seems like something about martial arts too, is there's this feeling of like aliveness. Like my friend said, like it gives me a reason to get up every day, like
Yeah.
to actually feel something.
Feel someone. So, remember here, people come and says like, oh, I didn't have a human touch in months, and they're like, this is for me. It's like at first they're like, oh, this is too much. Don't hug me. And they start like panicking. And you're just inside controlling them. They're like, oh, this is too much. And then they're like, oh, it's not that bad. I'm getting better. Or I'm liking this. And then they come and say like, oh, I was like that because I was so alone that nobody, like, I didn't have friends. That if I had friends, they were like, oh, hello, blah, blah. But to have other human touching you is a strong feeling.
Yeah, I sometimes think about that. I mean, because there's a lot of studies about, I mean, just the chemical reactions of like having sex, getting a hug, holding someone's hand.
When people say hug a tree, it has a connection, nice connection. Hug someone else, it also has a connection. But you need both. You just cannot just only hug a tree. Hug people that hug horses as a therapy. Yeah, it's good. Trust me, it's good. I have 7 dogs. I hug them all. But I also hug my girl, and I also hug I hug the tree. I also hug everything, because that connection, you need everything. You just don't focus on one, like, oh, this is the pillow I'm hugging. No, I need to hug people. I need to have connections. That makes you alive.
And I wonder with Jiu-Jitsu if there's also some therapeutic healing that happens because you are in such close proximity to people. Like, even though the goal is to hurt them or break them.
Or escaping. You're getting a hug. People sometimes need that. Get a hug. That's it. Sometimes they don't need plant medicine. Sometimes they just need to come because they have been alone in other part of the country, and they come here alone, and they stay in the house alone, and they are like, oh, I'm just going to do plant medicine with this group. Oh, I feel nice because I have a group. No, dude. You need to hug each person in that group. That's when you're going to feel better. But yeah, people forget connections of human beings. Martial arts give that a lot. Jiu-Jitsu, wrestling, judo give it more because you hug. That's a strong connection.
Well, Bruno, my friend, it's 2:00. I know you gotta get going.
I have to go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so black belt I also have another job.
If people like what you say and they want to come train with you, what's the best way of doing that?
Well, we're here in Urubamba, in the valley. And yes, just come. They will communicate with you, and you will bring them, and they will have fun. And yeah, it's a good group. It will make you feel more connected with other people. It will help you open more. If you think you're a person that doesn't communicate well, do Jiu-Jitsu. It will help you with the communication a lot. Because if you don't communicate, you die.
Well, thank you, Bruno. I appreciate it. I appreciate you sharing, and I appreciate you as a teacher, as a friend, and you gave me your brown belt, which it means a lot.
Yeah, so, no, I was impressed when I saw the diploma.
I've got your diploma up there amongst some others. So
yeah. I'm next to National
you're
Society.
You're next to my
Eagle, next to your Eagle Scout
diploma.
Yeah. That's a cool one.
So if you ever get lost in the woods, I know how to get us out.
Yeah. How to put fire. Oh, thank you, Jason.
Thank you, my friend. All right, everyone. That's it. I hope you enjoyed that episode with Bruno. It was really a pleasure for me to have him on, to have him share, to learn a bit more about his life. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. As always, if you're able to support this podcast, that's a really big help to me. Patreon is a really good option. It's a website, and you can sign up for as little as $1 a month. There's different tiers you can sign up for, and those tiers also give you different things back, things like early access to shows, bonus material, Q&As. To all the people who have done that, thank you very much. As always, I really appreciate your support. And if you're able to do that, thank you in advance. One of the things I really like about the idea behind Patreon and other sites like them is it really works off this idea of reciprocity. So if you feel like you're gaining something from this podcast, then that's a really big way to help and to give back. There's also the ability to direct donate via PayPal. I'll put a link to both of those in the show notes. If you're not able to do that, helping with the algorithms is always a really big help. So if you're viewing this on YouTube, hitting the subscribe button, turning on the notification bell, liking the video, leaving any questions or comments in the comment section, all of those things really help with the mysterious algorithms and getting this show out to a bigger audience. If you're listening to this, Apple Podcasts is still the biggest one. So leaving a starred rating and a short review, that's a really big help. Also, Spotify is gaining a lot of platforms. So also with Spotify now, you have the option to follow or subscribe to the show and also leave a starred rating. So I think that's it. My following guest coming up, I have a guy who also does jiu-jitsu with me. His name is John. He's going to be coming on to speak a bit about somatic work. I have an interview coming up with one of the heads of Psychedelics Today, which was a podcast I was on, Joe Moore. So he's going to be coming on to share. I have a few more coming up, but that's all I can think of off the top of my head. But as always, I hope to continue to bring on really interesting and fascinating guests. So I think that's it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for the support. Again, I hope this finds you all well, and I will see you all on the next episode.
To